So I'm going to do this all in one take with no edits, no colour grading, and nothing to change in terms of post-production of this video. So let me just attach my mic. Now, I'm making this video for two main reasons. The first one is to try and attract a new type of audience to this channel, because I'm super committed to kind of building a community of founders, entrepreneurs, people that really care about the future and really care about goals that they want to have and pursue, and really push that idea into the future. That's exactly the type of people I want to be as my viewers, people looking at the channel, people watching the videos. That's exactly the type of community I'm trying to build. But the second reason is to go over a bit about my story, what I've done, what I'm looking to achieve, where I'm looking to go, to kind of give the new viewers to this channel a good idea of all of that. And that's exactly why this video was made, to try and attract new viewers. So if you are a new viewer, which you most likely will be if you're watching this video, then welcome to the channel. I'm Michalis Fotis, I'm 16 years old. I'm looking to go and achieve my version of success, and that is something I'm super passionate about, super dedicated to doing. So I thought the way I'd start is by just going over a little bit about me, my kind of journey, what I've been doing before, and start there. So last year in 2025, I decided to start my very first business, which was called Edit Cut Content. Now, what we were doing was we were going to do social media management for people. So it all started when I thought, you know what, I'm going to create my very first business online. I've been watching YouTube videos, I've been seeing people be successful with it, and that's something I could see myself doing in the future. So I thought I'd give it a crack, have a go. And so I remember on my phone, I was on Canva and I was making the very first website, just typing out packages, the services we offered. So in terms of how many posts per week or per month, how many video posts, how many photo posts per kind of week or month, whatever the packages were, can't fully remember. I think it was per month. And then, so I went from that, I published the website, and in total over the whole Edit Cut Content thing, I managed to sign one client, which the whole story about how I signed that client is actually, I think, my second or third video on this channel. It's called From 14 or 15, I think it's 14 to first client. So that's just all about me signing that client. That was for Edit Cut Content. So I made that video over a year ago now, which is crazy that I've been uploading on here for over a year. And then just over a year ago, so about May time or April time last year, 2025, I started the Rise Up Agency. Now, the Rise Up Agency was all about meta ads, marketing strategies, growth, and all that kind of ideas. So I was doing outreach for emails, Instagram DMs, cold calling, all through 2025 up to 2026, and still hadn't signed my very first client, my very first paying client for the Rise Up Agency. I was doing the outreach methods, I was doing everything that you're supposed to, and I'd seen no results. I'd got on a few trials, so earlier around June, July time that year, I actually signed a few people on free trials, but after those free trials, they just ended up quitting and kind of going off without actually becoming a proper fledged paying client of the Rise Up Agency. So that was kind of that. But in terms of never being able to sign my first client, that was the most disappointing thing, because I was doing all of the outreach, I was doing the things you're meant to do in terms of prospects, trying to make different styles of outreach as well. So I even tried attaching PDFs, which seemed to work well. I got replies, but no one ever wanted to hop on that call or become a client properly. So that's a little bit brief about me, my story, what I've done before, and then I'll talk about where I'm looking to go, what I'm looking to do later on in this video. As you can see, it's quite a long one, so there's plenty of time for that. But the whole plan of this channel is, like I said, building a community of founders, entrepreneurs, people that actually care about the future and who actually have a passion. Because you just see so many people out there online nowadays, and They want to just say things because they sound good, or say things because that's what they're supposed to say. But this channel is all about keeping it real, being real in terms of entrepreneurship, what it's actually like, how to navigate this whole online world that so many people appear to be becoming successful in. You know, you've got billionaires being made from AI, you've got people that know how to structure content really well and understand the whole marketing landscape super well, and these people seem to be thriving and doing well. And yet when you try something and when you do something, it just completely flops. And this channel is about the reality of that, as well as me going on my journey and going up to the success I'm looking to achieve. Now, I think it's important to note that everyone does have a different version of success. Not one person has the same version. For some people it is buying a house, living comfortably, taking care of their family, never having to worry about money again. And there's nothing wrong with that, because the whole media pushes everything like you should have these super massive penthouses and, you know, all the supercars or a private yacht. But whatever your version of success is, that's exactly what you should go for. So don't worry about what everyone else is portraying online. Whatever you see as your version of success, go for that and do that, no matter what it is. As long as it's obviously, you know, moral and right. But no matter what your version of success is, go for that, because it's super important that you don't just go by the rules of everyone else. Because if you try and achieve the success of everyone else and your heart's not in it properly, and that's not really the success you care about anyway, then there's no point in you doing it, and you probably won't achieve it because your heart's not in the right place. Your heart and the way you're thinking, your attitudes towards it, you're just thinking, well, I'm working for all of this, but I don't even want that. So think about what it is that you want. Maybe you don't know what it is that you want yet. Figure that out first. Understand what kind of lifestyle do you want, what kind of monthly income do you want, what are the business vehicles, the businesses themselves that are going to get you to that place that you're looking to get to, whether it is 5k a month, 10k per month, 20k per month, 5 million a month, you know? So just think about what it is that you want, go after that, and don't stop until you get there. So my two passions on this content, on this kind of journey, that whole entrepreneurial thing, is business and content. Now, I'm super passionate about both of these. I really want to make a business that people respect, know, understand, want to work with, and have a really good brand around, if you will, to have a really good idea of what it is, what we do, and hopefully in the future have so many case studies that it seems unreasonable to not want to work with us. But not because we just want to take money off people and provide them with an average service, but because we actually want to achieve amazing results for our clients in terms of client satisfaction, the actual results we generate them through the systems, the leverage we create for them, whatever it is in the future, whether it's the same as it is now or whether it is something completely different in the future. Everything I'm involved in, I want to make sure that it succeeds and it does really well, but people actually gain something of value from it. So not just increasing their monthly revenue by, you know, following the chart they've gone up already, but by increasing it exponentially, or by making sure that we have such amazing results that it's really weird to not want to work with us, if that makes sense, because we transform people's lives. We change the way they think about online business, whatever that may look like in the future, which is something huge to say. You know, I'm not under the impression that that is an easy task, because I know it's going to take years. There's no way this thing that I'm trying to achieve and the journey I'm looking to go on is going to happen in the next 6 months. Because I see a lot of things online and they say 6 months is all it takes to change your life. And maybe that's true. But for the success I'm looking to achieve, 6 months is not the realistic time frame for that. This journey is going to be a long one. So if you're ready and you're prepared to stick around for the journey, this is exactly what this channel is all about. And then we have, so that's the business side of things, and then content. That's exactly why I'm making this video, because I want to make sure that I'm making videos people actually care about, people want to watch. Because in the past I've posted, I think, over 120 videos now. No, 220 videos, sorry, 220 videos, I believe. You just have to double check that by going on the profile. But 220 videos and very little subscribers compared to that. I think I've got now 160 subscribers as of today. So I need to make better content, and I need to make stuff people want to watch, because the whole entrepreneurial journey the way it's portrayed online, I think is wrong. And I think that the way we need to do that is by making a community of people that see the realities of entrepreneurship, what happens, how it grows, how it develops, the struggles you face along the way. All of those ideas are super important to me. So business and content are the two things I really want to improve on, because number one, I really want to provide value through my content, but I also want to show people the documentary, realistic, what it's like in the day in the life of, you know, a 16-year-old business owner or whatever I decide to do in the future. That's exactly what this channel is all about. So if you're sat there and you're watching this video and you're thinking about starting something of your own, but you're too worried about what maybe your friends, your school teachers, family, just people in your life, you're too worried about what they might think of you if you start to post online or if you tell them that you've got a business, because they might make fun of you. But I think one very important thing I can say, and I've experienced, and I think something that would be of value to you, is that you have to go into it expecting that. This videos and channel is all about keeping it realistic, what it's actually like, and how things grow and evolve over time. So here's me being honest with you. You know, you have to expect it. Some people will say negative things, some people will say really positive things, some people won't care at all. But having a channel online or having a business and telling people about it, or marketing in your local area and everyone sees that, that brings attention to yourself. Now that attention could be positive, negative, neutral, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that you go for what you care about, you go for your passions, your dreams, the things you want to do with your life. That's the most important thing, because no matter what you do, if you work in a 9 to 5, if you work in McDonald's, if you work in the Ritz in London, it doesn't matter. People are going to have an opinion of you no matter what, whether it's your friends, your family, people you don't even know. Everyone's going to have an opinion of you at some point, at some time. Now, what matters is that you do what's right for you in terms of what you can see yourself doing in the future, what you actually care about, what you're super determined to achieve in the future. Now, for me, it's all about the success I'm looking to achieve online. That's the thing I'm super determined to achieve in the future, through the businesses that I create, through the impact that I have with people. That's my goal. Your goal might be something completely different. It could be related to maybe gaining a healthier body, or maybe becoming more knowledgeable on a certain topic by reading more, right? So you have so many different options in terms of what you can do. You have so many options in terms of what you can do, but if you're too scared or too worried about what people, friends, family might think of you if you go for them, you'll never end up doing them. You'll never end up seeing what it was like if you started that business, or if you go for something. And I want to be kind of clear on this point, that when I say see what happens, or, you know, see what would have happened if you started this business, I don't just mean try it for 2 days, or, you know, buy that domain, make a website and hope you gain customers. If you're going to try something, actually go for it, actually try for it, and work hard at it, and don't stop until you get further towards the desired result you're looking to get to. I don't just mean give it a quick side hustle, try, you know, for 2 days or a week and then give up on it. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is, don't be afraid by the opinions of others and what they're going to say about, you know, the business you have, or the Instagram account, the content you make, because some people may make fun of you, some people may not make fun of you. But to wrap the whole point up of keeping people happy, is that you can't keep everyone happy. That's just the reality of life, of business, of working, of interacting with society, people that you come across every single day. You can't keep everyone happy. That is generally and genuinely impossible. But what you can do is try your best to achieve your goals and go for that no matter what. That's what matters, because everyone's goal seems cringy or weird in the beginning. Just like all of the successful people you see online now. You know, Alex Hormozi, Iman Gadzhi, Tony Robbins. I'm sure all of their ideas, all of their goals and dreams they had when perhaps they were younger, in their teens or early 20s, 30s. But it doesn't matter what age you're watching this now. What does matter is that you go for these things, because that's the only way to bring them into life, right? So it all seems cringe, it all seems weird maybe when you're first trying to start posting content. Maybe you think this video seems really cringe, that I'm sitting down 16 years old talking to a camera about my future aspirations and where I want to get to in life. Maybe that's your opinion. But the only thing is, I'm still putting this video out there. I'm still talking to a camera about my future aspirations at 16 and where I want to get to online. Maybe it is cringe, maybe it isn't, who knows. But what I know is that this is my way of trying to get towards my goals. This is my way of trying to communicate and build a community of really strong founders, entrepreneurs, CEOs, people that actually care about their goals, their dreams, and their passions, and they're not scared of hard work to get towards them. That's the kind of community and people I'm trying to build here. So don't lose sight of the fact that the thing you think about every single time you go to bed and the thing you wake up in the morning thinking about is the only reason why, well, you're letting a few reasons, like friends judging you, family judging you, you're letting all of those things stop you from doing it. But it's the one thing you're constantly thinking about. You know, if you're thinking about starting that business and you want to do X amount of revenue, X amount of clients, or, you know, have really good reviews, whatever your goal is with a business, whatever it is, you should go for that, because there's so many people out there that don't. You know, there are so many people that are thinking, and maybe who are watching this video right now and are sitting behind the screen and they're thinking, yeah, but I just can't because Tommy or Fred will say something to me when I go to school or when I go to college or when I'm back at work. So don't be that person, because there's someone else watching this video that is going to do that. So don't be that person. Now, if you don't yet know your goal or know the dreams, the aspirations you want to have in life, then maybe that's something I would consider reflecting on or thinking about in terms of what's the big goal. Because maybe you want to have a certain job now, maybe you're really interested in medical science, maybe you're really interested in becoming a doctor or a neuroscientist, right? So maybe you have an interest in that area, but think about what's the big goal with it. What has kind of lured you to wanting to go down that route? If you think about it, what do you want to be a doctor for? Is it because you really care about medical science, or, you know, is it because you really enjoy biology maybe? But think about what it is that you enjoy about that, or what you think you can see yourself doing in the future. And maybe try and change and impact the local area that you're in with that thing. So if it's biology, then impact their local area with biology. Maybe it's by helping people out with how to stay fit and healthy, or, you know, so you can create an impact and create an idea around what it is that you want to do on a small scale, and that's the thing that's going to lead you to maybe growing and getting bigger. Or maybe you don't want to do that at all when you find out that that's not the thing you actually wanted to do when you said you wanted to do doctoring. Not doctoring, sorry, you wanted to be a doctor. So whatever it is, whatever the whole idea is, you cannot let people or friends, family, judgments from kind of externally telling you it's a good idea, it's a bad idea, because those phrases, the times will come. So it's up to you in those moments what you say and what you do. That's the only thing I wanted to leave you on. And my personal opinion on it is, if you let all of the judgment, the people that are going to say something to you, if you let that stop you, and that's a big enough reason to not make you do the thing in the first place, then is your passion, is your determination for that thing really there? If a few comments, a few things that are said about you maybe are going to stop you from that, then is that the right thing for you? That would be my only take on it. But moving on to another thing I've seen and watched online is that success is portrayed as a very flashy, a very materialistic thing online. And I think this is because many people, maybe during crypto, maybe during the whole dropshipping gold rush, maybe recently with AI, they've all experienced some kind of growth, whether that is massive growth in terms of they've made, 10 million in the past 2 years, or maybe they've experienced 10k per month in their first 2 months of business, right? Whatever the scale is, whatever the amount of money is that they've made, because that's mainly how it's portrayed online. Whatever that amount is, it just seems to be portrayed in a very, not revengeful, but like a very, I'm not really too sure what the word is, but not a positive way, if you see what I mean. It just seems like it's all there in your face. It's, I've done this, I've got this, buy my course, and if you don't, then, you're going to end up poor or whatever. So, yeah, I just think when I see this stuff online and people trying to just shove it all down the viewers' throats and the people that watch them, just shove it down their throats, and then they see people unfollowing them, or they see a decrease in their subscriber count, and they wonder why. It's because when you're trying to shove it down their throat, no one wants to be kind of, constantly hammered with these things of success, the supercars, the penthouses, the yachts. Now, I think an important thing to say alongside that is when you see people like Iman Gadzhi, or not so much Alex Hormozi, but other successful people online, and they show their lifestyle, the thing they're trying to do, that's for a reason for their business. So I don't think that if that's something you wanted to do, if you wanted to show your lifestyle online, maybe you don't want to do that. But if you did, and you show maybe a vacation or, holiday, then that's a reason to get people interested in how they got that lifestyle. So in terms of starting a business or trying to grow, and that creates impact in their lives positively. So I think that in some use cases, then it can be a good thing. But when that's all they post about, all they shove down everyone's throats about, you should start my method or buy my course because this is the results you can kind of get, it's probably not realistic in the first place, and it's not the best idea to grow like a loyal following, a following of people that want to either invest in you or that want to just be part of the community you're in. So that was just one of the other things that I wanted to go over. But following that, I wanted to mention how important it is to me that building an honourable person and a business come like hand in hand, because going back to the idea of people being flashy online, I think it's really important that you ignore that and you build like an honourable business, something people, want to work with, or something people look at and say that they create a real good impact in people's lives. And that's the business side of things. But in order to do that, you have to be an honourable person and someone that, has discipline, who has determination, who has all of the things that it takes to grow a successful company, whether that is from being a founder to starting it, whether that is taking it over and growing it to new heights exponentially, right? So there's just so many different routes that this whole online business thing can go down, but I'm trying to narrow it down in this video as much as I can. And by saying that you need to build an honourable person, honourable business, those are things that take years. You can't just expect it to be instant. No matter how many books you've read, no matter how much exercise you've done, or self-improvement reading, or any of these things that are supposed to mean that you become a better person, that's what is kind of portrayed online. It's so much more than that. It's so much more than just sending a few emails or hopping on a few sales calls and you think you have a successful business, So becoming a successful person is the first step, and then because you're a successful person, you need to build a successful business. So how do you go about doing those two things? Well, my recommendations would be definitely exercising and probably reading, watching YouTube videos, surrounding yourself in the kind of environment, if you will. I know it's online, but the environment of what it is you're trying to achieve, or who it is you're looking to be around, you know. So look at those things, look at the goal you have, whether that's 10k per month, 100k per month, and think about the business leverage you need to get there. Think about the different business systems you actually need to bring that idea into life. Maybe it's implementing AI next, maybe it's using automations, maybe it's getting more sales calls booked, but it doesn't really matter. The whole point is that you need to build a business that is honourable, people really enjoy being a part of. You know, if you've ever been part of a club or something and you just feel like you really are happy to be there, like it was a really good decision for you to make to join that club or to start that thing. And that's when the whole idea of being honourable, or you know, having good morals, or whatever you want to call it, but making sure you have a business that is right, something that people aspire to work with. You know, so many out there online that you do see that people do aspire to work with, people do want to be part of. For example, Tony Robbins live, Unleash the Power, I believe it is one of his things. That's something many people want to go to, whether you want to or not. Maybe you haven't heard of it before, but that is something that many people would love to be a part of, would aspire to be a part of. And that's exactly what building an honourable business, being an honourable person, is kind of all about, in terms of making sure you have client satisfaction, making sure that people want to take part, and when they do take part, you transform their lives, or you change the way they see business like that in the future. And so with that becomes compounding interest. When you work on yourself, when you make sure that no matter what, you are constantly doing the things that you know you need to do to get further towards your goals, that's what it's all about. It's not about just trying something once and giving up on it. You know, I've made over 220 YouTube videos. I believe it's around that number. But still 160 subscribers. And that's because I'm just constantly trying to make the next best iteration, try the new thing, try something that's going to work. And when I see business owners try the same thing over and over and over again, and then they wonder why it's not working, but they say, yeah, but I've been consistent. The whole idea is that you're consistent with your efforts, not consistent with the things that you actually do in terms of the email copy you send. It's all about changing, iterating, understanding what's working, why it's working, how you can manipulate it and change it in the future to grow it, make sure it looks even better than maybe it was before. But don't do the same things over and over again and expect a different result, because that's by Einstein's definition, the definition of insanity. So think about what it is you want to do, the goals you have, maybe it's the KPIs you need to hit, or you know, anything to do with email outreach, DM outreach, anything like that. But don't do the same thing over and over again and just wonder why it's not working, because if you do the same thing over and over again, it won't work. You need to make sure that you're doing the correct things and the things that work over and over again to build a better business or become a better person, etc. And it is all very individual, because when you see what works for one business or one person might not work for another. So when it comes to implementing a new ad strategy, when it comes to trying, maybe reading a new book that everyone says is really good, but for you, those strategies in your business don't work, right? So it's very individual in terms of the business, the entrepreneur, the person that is doing these things, whether that is self-improvement in terms of reading, exercise, maybe you want to eat healthier, maybe you want to move more at work by doing desk stretches or chair exercises, right? You know, so anything like that, it's very individual to you. So whatever you see as working for you, whatever you see as actually good in terms of the growth for you, your business, or anything in the future like that. So that's just something to bear in mind. It is individual, but compound interest, working really hard, doing maybe the not so pleasant things you don't want to do every day, until you can then use the work you've done before to leverage maybe a software tool or something to help you remove that task, you can focus on something else then. So compounding interest, it's all about trying and doing things consistently over time after time after time, but stacking them in the way that works for you. So in terms of doing the right thing, and if you haven't found that right thing in email outreach or in Instagram DMs or in cold calling, recognizing that first of all, but then knowing that you need to change your ways, or just change like the email copy or change the DM script, and then go into it with a new approach and a new idea. Seeing if that works, then you do that loads of times, then you move on to the next thing. So maybe now I've got loads of people interested in your DMs. So what's the next step? Well, you need to now start booking some calls, right? So you need to see how people book calls. Would they rather just know a date and time, or would they rather have a scheduling link sent to them and then they can book a date and time? But when you send a scheduling link, do a lot more people drop off compared to when you just asked them what a date and time was perfect for them? So just testing all different variables, testing different things that are working or not working is a case of business, right? That's what business is. It's all about looking, understanding what's working, what's not working, changing that for the future. And that's something that I'm hearing and coming into view of a lot more, especially in the past 6 months or probably a year as well. So I've been seeing a lot of people talk about testing and optimizing for landing pages, for ad creatives, for the color of the banner of the ad creative. So all of these different variables that you think wouldn't even affect anything do, because I was reading a case study, and it was all about the color of the ad, the color of the landing page button, so when people clicked onto an ad, they got taken to a landing page, and they tested 2 different colors of the landing page button. They tested one being red and one being green, and I remember it was something weird, like 20% more converted when there was a green landing page button compared to a red one, which, you know, is something that maybe you wouldn't have considered. But when you try it and you see what works, changing the littlest things can have such a huge impact. And when you change lots of little things, then that creates an even bigger impact. The same thing for business, the same thing for reading, exercise, eating healthier. If you just do them little and often, you can do them in large amounts and often, obviously you'll see more results that way. But if you're not too sure if something's going to work, or if you're hesitant to try it for a certain reason, whatever that may be, just try a little bit of it, lot often. Maybe you try it once a day rather than doing it 10 times a day, right? So little and often, see what works you can then use and, you know, grow that from there. So iterating, improving, compounding the effort you do every single day, because the equation that I talk about all the time on this channel is discipline plus motivation plus consistency plus hard work equals progress towards your goals, and plus passion equals progress towards your goals. Because I believe that having passion, having something towards your goals is a real needle mover in terms of having a reason to do things. Maybe it's helping out your friends and family, maybe it's helping someone else you really like or really care about, right? So it can be anything, but having a reason, having a why that you're doing the things that you're doing is extremely powerful, and it's the thing that's going to propel you there. Because you may encounter some nice things along the way. Maybe you do get that car you've always dreamed of having. Maybe you do get that watch you really like. You know, those things may come along the way, but if you ask yourself truly, they're not the reasons you did it in the first place. They're a byproduct of the success you've achieved, but they're not the real reason you did it. The real reason you did it is either most likely going to be a person, by friend, family, cousin, auntie, uncle, you know, anyone that's close to you. That's going to be the main reason that you do things. And maybe your why isn't someone that you're close to, but in most cases it will be. So that's why I just mentioned that there. Your why is most likely going to be a person, and they're the real reason that, or you know, a group of people, and they're the reason that you're doing it for. And then the watches or the cars, etc., are just like a byproduct, something that comes alongside with it. And so, yeah, having a reason, having a why is a great way to push you further and make you want to achieve that goal even more. But speaking of compounding interest, and something that is an extremely powerful asset when you combine it over lots of weeks, days, months, years, it can be any time frame, depending on the amount of success you're looking to achieve in terms of getting a healthier body, in terms of maybe starting a business or financial success, whatever your success is. The more kind of distant it seems from the version you are now, is the longer it's going to take. So basically, the harder the success is to achieve, the longer it's going to take. And so you have to understand that this compounding interest thing has to work at some point. You know, whether you've been trying for 3 years, 5 years, and nothing's been working, maybe it's making videos, maybe it's starting a business, and you can just, nothing's like really catching on. Maybe you've had the odd bit of success here and there, but nothing is catching on truly. That's when you need to rely on the whole idea of compounding consistency, and compounding the whole efforts that you've done throughout the years, days, months, weeks of outreach, of cold calling, of taking sales calls, right? So understand that you have to be willing to not see results for years, but you have to think about what you can do to leverage maybe the skills you have now, maybe a few resources or local things you have to now, to get further towards your goals. Because if you just do the same things over and over again, you're not getting anywhere. That's when you need to think about changing the method. So maybe it's changing your offer slightly, maybe it's changing your outreach approach. So once again, going back to iterating consistently, doing the same thing consistently, and doing it over and over again, making sure you always optimize for what works, and you use things you have local to you, or things you have available, to not fast track your success by any means, but to make sure that you are changing in the right way. I don't know if that makes sense, but using things maybe you have around your home, or maybe on your laptop online. You know, someone has something about where they are, what they have online, then maybe you could use that to fast track your success. Maybe you don't have that, but the whole idea is change, iterate, improve on what works. So if you found a new tool online that is new and no one's come across it yet, then you could be the first to leverage that tool, use it to gain clients, use it to do AI research, you know, anything like that. So that was what I wanted to say. So I've been talking to you probably for the past 10 minutes or so about compounding interest and why it's important. So have I experienced compound interest? Well, earlier last year I actually did. For the first time, I was making videos online on Instagram, talking about business, talking about strategies in terms of maybe some meta ads or something like that. And I was speaking, you know, about that for a year, and I was posting for a year. Once again, seeing very little results in terms of followers or likes or comments, but when you try and do something, when you try and achieve something, it's never going to be easy. So I didn't go into it expecting it just to be, you know, 100,000 followers in the first 6 months, because some people do achieve that, but that's people that understand the content strategies and things they need to do to build a trust and a following online. And last year, that was my first 2 months when it was when I was making proper like business strategy videos. I think I was about 2-3 months in talking about meta ads or talking about metapixels, all those kind of things. That was my first proper time at it. So I'd only been doing content for 2 or 3 months, and so now I've been doing it for 1 year and 2 months, 1 year or 2.5 months, something like that. So I hope that it's come a long way, but nowhere near to the point where it needs to get, because the whole point of me trying to make new videos, do new things, is to test and iterate on new ideas. That's something I've taken into account specifically a lot this year. I've been trying new video styles, new hooks in the Instagram videos, new things to speak about, change the approach and the way I talk about things, and that's something that I need to do moving forward more, because the more I test different things, the more I see what works and what doesn't work. Because I was posting last year and I had one video, it's the only video still that's hit over 1,000 views on Instagram, and I watched that video, you know, after it had gone viral, after it worked, and I was just trying to figure out what about that video made it different to everyone else, because that wasn't at a time when I was iterating, that wasn't at a time when I was testing new ideas, new hooks, new things to talk about in the videos. So while all of a sudden did that video work and no other video really has, it's only got around 150, 200 views is like my average viewing per video. So why did that work and none of the others didn't? Now, I remember when I posted it in the first, I think it was 10 minutes, and must have collected 5 likes. And that was purely by luck, because sorry. Because I'll be extremely lucky to gain like 1 likes or 2 likes per video. And so when it gains 5 likes in the first like 2 minutes of it being published, and I just remember, I think everyone must have been online at that time. A few people that I was speaking to in DMs, a few people that just liked it generally before. And so I had a collection of people that were liking it, 5 people in about 2 minutes. Sorry if I'm losing my voice. And so the algorithm must have seen that as that was an outlier on my channel, my profile, and so it just boosted those videos. And yeah, I think that was what it was all about, because the first night I remember checking after posting it, about probably 5 hours maybe later, I was checking to see the performance, and I checked it before I went to bed, and it was on 400 views. So depending on my videos at that time, they were getting anywhere between 50 to like 150 views. So 400 views was a complete outlier on my channel. So by that time I went to bed, I thought, that's a great video, you know, 400 views, that's not too bad. And that's pretty good, in fact. But then when I woke up in the morning, it was on 1,100 and something views, and I thought, I did not expect it to go from 400 to 1,000 overnight. I thought 400 views was kind of the plateau, the peak of it, and then the rest was, you know, going to be the odd 2 views every day or whatever that, you know, the algorithm pushes when a video doesn't do so well, and it just pushes it gently every single day. So the whole moral of the story there was that was compounding interest, in terms of I'd posted so many times and I've tried new content ideas before that. But the one time that I wasn't trying, or one of the times that I wasn't trying to test and iterate a new idea in terms of content, it seemed to perform well. So the more you do things, the more you try things, the more you test, the more you're likely to hit something that works. If you don't try, if you never, you know, throw that ball at the basketball hoop, you'll never know if it goes in and if you get a dunk, you know. So not that a dunk is when you throw it, I know it's when you jump and put it in, but the point is, if you don't take the shot, you don't land the shot. So learn to do more things, learn to do it more often, do it consistently, and compound the interest. Now the second reason as I've seen compound interest, the second thing I've seen is actually earning money online through Instagram. So I was posting online, I think this was after that 1,000 view video, I think it was around November time, 2025, so roughly 7 months ago or 6 months ago. And someone reached out to me on Instagram just completely out of the blue. It was a voice message, and he said, do I have any resources or anything to help him in terms of growing his social media job application, because he wanted to work at a digital marketing agency and he wanted to be a media buyer. So we wanted to understand about meta ads, how they worked, how to run one, how to create an ad campaign or a lead magnet, all of these things. So I reached back out to him and said, yeah, sure. So I, over back and forth and texting tennis, if you will, we agreed on £100 for 4 video calls. So I earned in that November £100 from 4 video calls. Now previously, before, like I said, I onboarded a few people as potential clients in terms of doing the free trials, and then they didn't become clients. If you're still watching with me from this far, that's what I mentioned at the beginning. And so by this time, someone had reached out to me, and I didn't have to do outreach to them. I didn't have to see if they wanted a free trial to start with. It's because he saw some value in the content I was providing. He saw something in what I was saying and what I was trying to convey to the audience that was watching, that he reached out in the first place. And that taught me something. It taught me that as long as you have kind of a good structure, a good idea to what it is that you're saying, people can find value in that. They may not necessarily want to pay you straight away. This guy did, but they may not necessarily want to even work with you. But as long as you're providing the right value in a structured way, in a clear way, that's actually helping people, and that's creating an impact in people's lives. And that's really important in terms of building a business, being the person, the entrepreneur I want to be in the future, the person I'm so inspiring and aspiring to be in the future. That's the first step to getting there. That's having an impact on someone so much that you wanted to seek for more of my help, for me to help him get a job somewhere else. So over these 4 video calls, we actually had 3, because after the 3rd one, he didn't contact me back when I asked about when he wants to have the 4th. So it was actually 3 video calls, but nonetheless, the last video call, we were just going to go over viewing the metrics, because he would have already ran the ad for the past 2 weeks, I think it was. And so we were just going to review his metrics. I was going to explain what the metrics meant, but we never got round to that call. So we got round to building the strategy, making a lead magnet, running the ads. That was all stuff we did before. And then that last call was going to be just viewing the metrics, having a look at the analytics, what's going on, and everything to do with that. So that was what we were going to do, but we never got round to that. So the £100 was the compounding interest of making content, of making something that I was trying to improve on, get better at, and do the work that is going to move the needle in terms of building a community, making sure people, I get feedback from people about what content it is that I'm putting out. Do they like me talking about metapixels? Do they find it really boring? And just like I'd like your opinion on this video. If you're still watching this far, then, you know, this is kind of the community, the type of people aren't watching my videos, because if they don't have to have loads of different visual effects, and not that that won't happen in the future maybe, but in terms of having communities, entrepreneurs, founders, CEOs that can focus, that are super dedicated on one thing at a time, whether it's watching a video, whether it's doing outreach, you know. So if you're still watching this far, drop down below in the comments exactly what you think of this video. Is it really boring? Is it interesting? Is it not interesting? I'd like to know your honest thoughts. You know, I'm trying to make really good content. As I said, my 2 passions are business and content. So content is one of those things I want to master, I want to get really good at, and I want to help more people through it, if that makes sense. So the £100 off Instagram was the very first time I'd ever had someone come to me and want to pay me for anything in terms of the services I was trying to provide, in terms of the agency. So nothing had ever come close to that. So that was compounding interest, and that it wasn't just the fact that the £100 was transferred from his bank account to my bank account. It was the fact that someone actually wanted to outreach to me and let me do services for them, if that makes sense. Normally it's me having to do the outreach, me trying to send the emails, do the phone calls, the Instagram DMs, all of the stuff you probably hate doing, and the stuff you're putting off, which you shouldn't, by the way. You should just go ahead and do it. But the stuff you're putting off and the things you're hesitant towards. Someone came to me and that happened in reverse, and maybe it was because I was doing outreach throughout the year that all that stuff compounded and came back to me, if that's what you believe. But whatever it is that you believe in, the thing is that someone came to me because they wanted me to provide a service for them. So just know that if you resonate with people, if you talk to people in a way that they can see value that you have, maybe understand that you have a bit of knowledge in what it is you're talking about, whether you are a fully fledged expert or whether you just understand the topic to a really good extent. It doesn't matter. But when you do that, and when you show people that you know how to communicate your ideas in a laid out manner, you show people that you know how to speak to them in terms of helping them with their problem and how they can solve that problem, they're going to start coming to you. Now, I'm still a long way from that. I'm nowhere near having loads of inquiries every single day. I haven't had one since then, and it's been 6 months or 7 months since then. But it did teach me, like I said, that if people come to you, if you can provide value, people will come to you. And so providing value is important if you want to maybe use social media to grow a business, or you want to use it to expand. Providing value is a great way to do that, but more importantly, rather than just sounding like an AI robot online, resonate with them, talk about your story, what's happened with you, and how you can resonate with people in terms of pain points you're experiencing, what's going on in terms of the business growth, finances, operations, systems you use. Show people that you are a business, because that's how you'll attract more high ticket clients in terms of the systems you use, because business owners, as in you, attract business owners to work with them, because you have to understand that they want to see that you know exactly what you're doing, you're professional, you have systems in place, you are fully operational in terms of efficiency, you don't have any bottlenecks in the business, your clients get great results, because high ticket clients are most likely going to be business owners. That's why they're high ticket clients. You have to think about, how do I attract high ticket clients and how do I attract business owners, and that's by showing that you are a business yourself. But I'm digressing, I'm getting away from the point. The whole idea was that £100 from Instagram was the compounding interest. So billionaire status, if that's what you're trying to achieve, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But billionaire status is not just about having a net worth, as in net worth that maybe they don't actually have that, but they have that on paper. It's not about just the financial assets, not just about the supercars, the yachts maybe, the nice houses that they have. It's about the person that achieved that. Now, this whole journey for me is all about growing, getting better, understanding maybe a market or a segment of a market or a type of characteristic in a market, and knowing that really well and growing a business around that. Now, the whole idea of just doing it for just doing it for the supercars or just doing it for the penthouses, that's not what it's about. It's about going on a transformation. It's about going on a journey. And if you're a founder, an entrepreneur, a CEO, someone who's looking to make an honourable business, become an honourable person, that's exactly the thoughts maybe you have, and maybe something you're thinking as you watch this. But I want to know that all of the business owners that are out there, Bill Gates, all of the big people in terms of Amazon, Gymshark, Ben Francis has recently, well, not recently, but in the past decade or so, really come into light in terms of building his business, trying to make Gymshark a 100-year brand. All of these things, that's building an honourable business and honourable people around the business, and that's exactly what billionaire is for him. And I think that that's something that many people before him and after him have done. And so being a billionaire is not just about the on-paper numbers, the amount you have in your bank account, the supercars. It's the journey you've been through, the struggles you've been through to get to that point. Because let's face it, being a billionaire is an extremely rare thing on this earth. I'm not too sure about the numbers, but I think it was 0.01 or so percent of the world, or I think it was a lot more, 0.00001% of the world has billionaires, or is a billionaire in terms of the world population. And that very clearly shows that being a billionaire is an extremely hard thing to do. So what does that say about their character and about what they do? And maybe, well, I'm sure that I read the statistics, I'm not too sure exactly what it was, but I think there was more inherited billionaires than self-made billionaires. But speaking about the self-made billionaires, those are people who have been through struggle, people who have grown a business literally from the ground up, and someone who has made sure that they're going to get towards their goals no matter what. They had unrelenting, I don't know if that's a word, relentless effort. They wanted to keep doing the same things over and over and over. They found what worked, they iterated, they improved, they got better. And all of these ideas that I'm speaking about, I know I sound like a bit of a broken record on here, but it's super important if you're trying to achieve these things, because as a kid, I never wanted to be average, right? I can remember as long as 7 or 8 years old, just sitting in my bedroom here, thinking about what it is I'm going to do in the future. How am I going to achieve the impacts I know I wanted to achieve? Because I knew that I wanted to create some impact in the world. There's something inside of me that never wanted to just get a job, never wanted to settle for an easy life. I always knew that I wanted to go through hard things, do discipline daily, every single day. You know, that's something that I've always aspired to, even from 7 or 8 years old when I was first doing exercise, and that's something I still do now, which is a weird thought that I've been doing exercise for longer than I haven't been doing exercise. And I think maybe that's where I got part of the discipline that I have now from. Not because I was born with it, not because all of a sudden I just had this massive urge to be disciplined, but because throughout the practices I'd done before, through doing exercise, which was the main thing I was doing when I was younger. I wasn't into entrepreneurship, I didn't know it existed, but I always knew I wanted to be something. And I always knew that I had to create an impact in people's lives, and that's something I'm extremely passionate about and something I really want to do moving forward into the future. There's no doubts about that. I want to make impacts in people's lives in a positive way. And so, you know, it's not about just the status of having however many numbers in your bank account. You know, be the honourable person, be someone that wants to make an impact, or be someone that wants to create the change you're looking to change, whether that is a huge change. Maybe you're not looking to make any change in terms of a business landscape or in terms of the world. Maybe you're just looking to create an impact in the people's lives that you impact every single day, which is the place to start. If you're looking to create a bigger impact, you have to start by making lots of small impacts and then growing that to making a bigger impact. Right, so this brings me on to the next point of creating impact is the new business, because if you think about it, people like Tony Robbins and his content team and team in terms of business generally has about 114, 113 companies, and he has created such a huge impact that he's still as relevant now as what he was when he first started posting online, and that's extremely rare. People like Iman Gadzhi, Grant Cardone, Alex Hormozi is more recent, but you know, other people, other influencers online, they have a peak where they're really popular, then maybe they have a bit of a decrease, then maybe they go up again, or maybe they just keep going down. But whatever it is, no one has ever really stayed constant online. There's very few people who have done that. And I think there's one very specific reason why he's still as relevant now as what he was when he first started posting online, as well as his whole team, and as well as grown all the businesses that he has. It's the same reason for all of that. It's because he's created an impact in people's lives so huge that they keep referring back to him, or they keep thinking about his experience, or they keep referring him to their friends in terms of going to one of his events. And that's exactly why his businesses have grown, but also why he's stayed relevant online, if you will, still as popular now as what he was when he first started posting. And yeah, that's the reason for it. It's because he has created such a huge impact. So creating impact is the new business model. Whatever business it is you're looking to go into, whether it's AI automation, marketing, meta ads, social media management, it can literally be anything. Whatever it is you're looking to go into, understand that you have to create an impact through that. Now, you may be sat there thinking and wondering, but how can I create an impact just with meta ads or just with AI automation? But you can, as long as you change. Well, if it's like a meta ad specifically, you're looking to get a business more clicks, right? More conversions, more buy nows on their sites, all of these things. And that creates an impact to the business owner. And then the business owner maybe will go out, create a positive impact in the world with the extra income that they've had maybe. But as long as you gain your clients such good results and you generate them the results they're looking to achieve and more, that's creating a positive impact in one person's life. And if you do that over and over and over again, you can then expand and you can then do more positive things in the world. So this brings me on to kind of a different section of the lack of focus for this generation in particular, as like a whole, as it's proven that, you know, younger kids now are less focused than adults. They can't, you know, sit down or do a work. And not to toot my own horn, not to make me sound like an amazing person, but when I sit down, and today I had one GCSE, it was biology, then yesterday I had two, I had business and English literature in terms of school. And the exams, they just feel so easy to sit through. You know, it's like an hour and 45 minutes and everyone's going, that's so long, and you know, how am I going to write for that long? But when I've been used to sitting down and cold calling for, you know, 3 hours, or sitting down writing emails for 4 hours, or whatever it is, you know, so when I've been doing the discipline things, the things that no one wants to do in terms of how to grow a business, how to get better, how to grow and expand yourself, a business, anything. When you go on this journey and you actually do the hard things, the things people don't feel like doing at any time really, it makes all of the things that most people would complain about or say is really hard feel a lot easier, because you're used to so much worse. It's all about comparing, right? So if you've got something really hard and you compare that to something much worse, the first thing doesn't seem so bad anymore. And that's the exact effect that I'm experiencing in terms of the GCSEs. I'm finding them pretty easy to sit through. You know, we've obviously got to write in between that time. I'm not just sitting there doing nothing. But when I see people in there dreading a 2-hour exam, I just think it's not a breeze, but you know, it just seems a lot easier compared to what everyone else is making it out to be. So that's one of the impacts and changes you'll notice if you go on this journey, if you do this whole entrepreneurial thing, which is the collection of people I'm looking to build on here, is that when you do the hard things, when you have discipline, you do things people don't always want to do, you notice a change in yourself in terms of your ability to deal with a lot more heavy tasks. So maybe you've been putting off speaking to that client about maybe something that's gone wrong, maybe something you don't really want to speak about to them, but now you've done something so much worse than that thing doesn't seem so bad. That's the exact effect that happens when you start entrepreneurship, when you use discipline. So once again, it's not about tooting my own horn, but it's about seeing the changes and documenting the real changes that happen when you go on this journey, when you do the things you've been putting off for so long. That's when the real growth will start to change. So that's the one thing I want you to do after watching this video. Click off it now if you have to, but go out there and do the things you've been putting off. Do the outreach, do the cold call, make your very first cold call if you have to, if that's something you've been super scared or super you know, hesitant towards starting. go out there and do that. Make your first video, post your first video. Right, the thing I talked about at the beginning was stop worrying about people's opinions, because that's the one thing that's going to hold you back, and that's why you won't ever get towards your success. So just drop that now. Let go of it and go out there and do the thing. And so, yeah, the next thing is about me doing the outreach that I have done and seeing very little results, because I feel like by now I should have my first paying client. I've done the outreach, I've done the emails, I've done the DMs, I spoke about it a little bit at the beginning, but I've done all these things and I've tested, quite a few different variations, and now I still don't have my very first paying client. So how am I going to look to change that and, gain a better result in the future, right? It's all about making sure that I'm keeping up with the outreach, but I'm changing it, because very clearly what I'm doing over the past year hasn't worked. So this is where I have to recognize that it hasn't worked. So now I need to change that and try a new method going into the future. I've tried multiple methods this year, so I'm going to still continue to do that, but do it consistently and do it in a way that makes sure I'm getting further towards my goals by doing that. So recently my Rise Up agency email expired, and so I didn't have the kind of amount saved to buy the domain for the next year, if that makes sense. So when you get a domain, I don't want to get in terms of too technical in terms of DNS records or anything like that, but essentially when you buy a domain for a website, you can either choose to buy it for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or however long as you want. But then when it comes to the end of that period, you have the option to renew it, and I didn't have enough saved to renew it, so I couldn't renew it. That was about 2-3 days ago. But since then, someone I was going to work with, but I'm not going to work with now, I'd prepared a whole strategy around it, and they said that they appreciated me preparing the strategy for that, and so just invoice them for £50, even though they're not going to work with me. They appreciated the ideas and they wanted to take the ideas, and so they wanted to invoice for £50 for that. So that was a small win, £50. And so what I'm going to do now, tonight, with that £50 is go out there and buy another domain, so I can now go and send more emails. So, whatever small wins you get, whatever things you do, that's what I was speaking about before, whatever resources you have, think about what you can do with that. If you've just been, exchanged some money for the services you've given, then what can you do with that money? Rather than going out and spending it on something like new shoes or anything like that, what can you do to grow the business with it? Now, maybe you do need something new to grow the business. Maybe you need a new laptop or a new piece of software, etc. But think about what you can do with the resources you have now and the stuff that you might have in the future, and how can you grow that. And so that was a small win of the £50 of preparing that strategy, going over how to grow their business and what they could do to improve it. They wanted to take that idea, and I'm guessing they liked the idea due to the invoice, and so that was a small win and a positive thing that has now allowed me, after recording this video, I'm going to go and buy that domain and start sending emails. And so I wanted to leave the whole video on the last point of the only way to fail in all of this, the whole entrepreneurial journey, the whole going on this 10-year, 20-year, 30-year journey, is the only way to fail for me and for you is to just give up. Because as soon as you give up, that's when you're never ever going to achieve the results you're looking to achieve. Whether it is billionaire status, whether it is 2k per month, no matter what it is, the only way that you're ever going to fail, the only way this is never going to work out for you, and I mean never, is if you give up. If you keep going, if you do it day in, day out, relentlessly, and everything you do, whether it seems obvious at first or not, everything you do is to get towards that goal. That's what matters, and that's what the key is. So just bear that in mind. I hope you've enjoyed this video about the documentary, about my story, what I've been looking to do in the future, the past, everything like that. If you enjoyed this video, let me know down below in the comments, or reach out to me in some way, maybe on Instagram, maybe on something else. But I'm going to upload this straight from the SD card into the YouTube studio. No effort, no editing, no editing, no color grading, no post-production, anything. Efforts to keep it raw and real. Then I hope you enjoyed this video, but don't forget that part. The only way you're ever going to fail this journey, ever, is by giving up. If this takes me 10, 20, 30, 40 years, I'm still going to go. I'm still going to do it day in, day out, and try my hardest at it. So, thank you very much for watching. Remember to take it one step at a time, and I will catch you all in the next one.